look at the work light on the cab. So I've got as far as putting a piece of perspex in, so I've cut out the existing lights or the old blanks, and if I take this roof off a minute, that's the flashing beacon, so that's in there fitted, and having a look on the inside, so I've actually sort of cut that out and inserted a piece of plexiglass in there, and I've cut the centre out of the reflector, so I've got it down to that size so far, and I've unsoldered the blue LED lights, and I'm going to be using this little circuit board and resolder in some white, ultra white LED lights, and then I'm going to use this as a template just to hold them steady while I solder them up. So I'm just going to use it as a jig to solder it up, and then I shall work towards putting this light unit inside behind the plexiglass, sort of like that somewhere, and with the cab roof back on top again, so I'll have 5 LEDs, bright LEDs, to use as a work light. The light fittings are all done, so just hold that up to the camera. So we've got the LEDs in there and the flashing light on top, and I've done, if I take this top off a minute, just gonna have a look. I've got to disconnect this extension lead, so let's pull that out through the centre. That's the flashing light unit, and he's all bolted in his flange. He's sitting in his flange, and that's the mounting flange or the fixing flange. I've put a, let me have a look, flashing light is 620 ohm resistor inside there as a current limiter. He'll be working off of 5 volts, so yeah, that's fine. And inside, this is the flashing work light. So I've got the lens in the front, and I soldered up the LEDs, so the white LEDs, into the back of this board. So it's a reclaimed board, and it's pretty close to my limit there, and so I've just hot glued it into position, and they're actually, the LEDs are actually butting up against the light, and I've angled them down slightly as well, so it's kind of aiming towards the bucket. And then I've just put some aluminium foil, self-adhesive aluminium foil, just to stop any light leaking up and getting between the top canopy on the roof and this sub canopy, so just stops any light leaking out. We've got the AT Tiny board in circuit, powered up. So that is responsible for controlling the LEDs, and the flashing beacon will come on once the board is powered up, so it's straightforward on off with a half a second delay. And to activate the work lights along the front, you have to ground pin 4, I believe, that's on their thing. So if I touch this pin here to ground, then the lights will come on. Let's see if I can show you the tiny. So what will happen in the final setup is this will be fixed up inside the cab. So we've got both the LED circuits on pin 0 to pin 3, and pin 4 is the trigger wire for the work light. It'll be sat in there and I can get a USB port in there. It's floating around at the minute because I haven't fixed it down, but that's the general idea.